What's good? What's good? What's good? Today we got another little video. So what do we have today? What do we have today? I know you're wondering. Today we actually have an interview on the Jimmy Fallon show. So I didn't even know Jimmy Fallon has his own like YouTube channel for his own show, but he interviewed Steve Bartlett. Now, if you're not aware of who Steve Bartlett is actually the guy who runs the whole YouTube channel slash podcast slash show, whatever you want to call it, called Diary of a CEO. Essentially, where he just brings in a bunch of like entrepreneurs onto his platform and he kind of just interviews them, delves into their mind, and asks them a couple questions about their upbringing, how they came up, and different things like that. It's not always necessarily entrepreneurs now, but a lot of the time, essentially it is. I think there's a bit more backstory into actually why he started it, and why he actually named the Diary of a CEO. But to be honest, I'm not really too sure. But yeah, I saw a clip of this on social media somewhere, only briefly him explaining about how he was in a situation once where he was doing an interview and he usually preps for these interviews. He does 3 to 4 hours or whatever, and he had actually had two interviews on the same day, but he prepped for the wrong, or he did the interview prep for the wrong person, and then he went into it essentially not knowing who in the world he was actually dealing with. So I thought this one would be an interesting one to watch. And this was actually 10 days ago. It's sitting on almost 700k views. So without further ado, we'll just get straight into it, see what he's talking about.
Well, and timestamps. This is me in real time. I was wearing that sweater, but that's not the joke. But I mean, these are quotes that I was saying as we were doing the interview. Someone was making this book as we were talking, and then you handed it to me, and I got in my car when I left. I'm like, started crying. I was like, it's the greatest thing ever. I loved it. Thank you.
Talk about creativity.
Thank
You plan all that stuff?
you. Yeah, like I have to give the credit to our team because we have the most incredible team, but our culture is to really sweat the small stuff. And that's been our philosophy since day one. So it means everything. It means thinking about the music to play when you walked in and researching. You know, I researched the first concert.
Was it, the Beatles?
The Beatles, yes.
Yeah.
You're a big fan of Sting. I know that the first concert you went to with your parents was A.I. Weird Yankovic?
Yes.
I don't even know who that is, but so...
Weird.
Yeah, this guy's level of research is
Get ready
crazy.
for Christmas. You're going to get a nice
Okay,
package.
I look
You're
forward
going to get a nice package from me, yeah. Weird Al is my favorite first concert, of course.
I've never heard of that, but we played that, we put it in our nice little playlist, and then you walk in, and you probably don't remember this, but the first thing you remarked, because remember I had those glasses on that were recording everything?
Yes.
The first thing you said was, oh my God, it smells so nice in here. So we think about the smell, the CO2 levels in the room, because that has a huge impact on both our...
The CO2 level?
Yeah, there's some like crazy stats.
Wow. Yeah, this guy's insane. Like, this guy is insane. You can tell he pays such an incredible attention to detail. Imagine you're sitting down to do an interview. Your average person is just going to sit down, you know, have a cup of coffee on the table, a sofa, a camera, and just be like, hi, nice to meet you. Let's run the interview. Whereas he's paying attention to factors like what the room smells like, what they're like. He's doing background research into the type of music they like and how their upbringing was and like things of this nature. Like, and I feel like that kind of goes to show why like Steve Bartlett is on the level that he's on in relation to interviews. Like, he pays so much attention to detail that naturally he's always going to distinguish himself from the next person who's doing the interview. Do you understand? So it's very interesting to see like all the work that kind of goes behind all these interviews. A lot of the time we just see the finished product, but it's like you don't get to see all the work that's been put in the background. But yeah, I'm not surprised like the way Stephen Bartlett is. Like, I'm not surprised Stephen Bartlett is where he is today. Like, he pays an absolute great amount of attention to whatever he does, and yeah, I'm not surprised he's doing as well as he is.
So I read a couple of years ago that if the CO2 levels get above about 400 parts per million, it's like drinking alcohol. It's like having a beer. If it gets from 400 parts per million to 1,000 parts per million, which is just me and you sat in an unventilated room for 30 minutes, you lose about 20% of your cognitive capacity. It's 21% of your cognitive capacity. But in my interviews for the first couple of years in the Diary of a CEO, we realized that the CO2 levels in the room were about 1,500. So I was like drunk for the first 200 interviews. Like, genuinely, it like has a huge impact. So, you know, our game is,
Wow.
We think sweating the small stuff over time, and if you have patience, is a much easier strategy than trying to find some profound way to win. And also with this is I think partly inspired by a study I read many years ago called the peak end rule, which is how Uber built their company. They understand that the people remember the very peak of an experience and the end of an experience. So we do everything we can to make sure the end of the experience is really, really great for you. And this is, so like if you miss the flight on the way to a holiday, it's much worse than if you miss it on the way back. And people say that when they're asked. So we try and make the ending really, really good. So I'm so glad you're
talking about. It's this type of stuff on the podcast all the time. It's like stuff you're like, oh, that's the greatest thing.
Blowing our mind here with the amount of research this guy has done.
But tells you when you do bad things.
Yeah.
He wrote. He was like, that was good. So I was like, ooh. And I carried on doing it, and then life happened. I forgot about it for a couple of months, and then that friend came to me again, my friend Ashley, and said, when's the next episode? You need to carry on doing that. And so I carried on doing that. And yeah, it's been crazy.
Well, the show.
It's amazing, and that's what these friends are for, really. That's crazy to think you really just started, like, using GarageBand. I don't know if you use GarageBand, but I know I used to use it ages ago when I used to mess around with the music thing. And that's like some tier 1 software for, like, recording audio, as far as I know anyway. And yeah, it's just kind of funny to hear the whole story about him. He had literally just heard of a podcast. I don't know how old this guy was, but a podcast must have been a thing that obviously wasn't as common as it is back then. And then for him to just be like, yeah, look, I'll just get up and give it a go. I'll give it a try, covering the mic with a sock. Like, wow. I mean, if you probably would have told him back then that he would be where he is today, when he decided to go buy that mic and go into the Apple Store and buy that mic, he would have said, yeah, that's funny, But yeah, it just goes to show that, like, you really have to keep at it and keep consistent. Even how he was speaking about how he disappeared for a while, for a couple of months. Luckily for him, he had the right people around him, i.e. his friend, to tell him that, oh, when's the next episode coming out? Like, that was actually genuinely good. So yeah, it's beautiful to see. So I guess if you're ever procrastinating about, I don't know, taking that one step, recording yourself, posting that little video on TikTok, whatever it is, it's like, you just never know what could be on the other side until you do it. So, and for him to be just thrown into a situation where it's like, okay, there's nothing behind you, there's no research behind, there's nothing backing you here, you're going to have to just adapt on the spot. And I love the way he was able to adapt there and then under the pressure. They say pressure obviously makes diamonds. Obviously that's not the case for everybody, but you can clearly see he was not going to fold under pressure. He had obviously invited this guy from wherever he was coming, and he was determined to make this a good interview, whether he had the resources or not. And I guess that's probably the difference between, like, certain people that achieve what they want and others that don't. It's like, you can have nothing, but if you genuinely want to make it happen, you'll make it happen, rather than the opposing person who might be like, yeah, I'm missing this, I'm missing that, I'm missing whatever, so I can't make it happen. It's like two people with the exact same goal, but one is just eager to get it and the other is not so much, so one makes it happen and the other doesn't. But yeah, just a funny story, and I think it's even, like, highlights how important it is to be adaptable in whatever it is you're doing. Things always don't go as planned in whatever industry or whatever it is you do, so you need to be able to, like, quickly be able to kind of pivot and just like think on your feet. Yeah, essentially just kind of think on your feet. But yeah, with him doing this for as long as he's been doing it, I'm not even surprised he was able to do so.
And if you listen, people will take you where they want to go with a conversation, because most people haven't had someone just listen to them really for like more than 10 minutes ever in their life. And it was a beautiful conversation. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, so now I don't do any research.
Yeah, right. No, that's not true.
Jimmy
there
Fallon's
you go, that's for you.
So much.
Thank you, nice to see you. Stephen Bartlett, everybody. Check out all new episodes of The Diary of a CEO every Monday and Thursday, wherever you get your podcast. More Tonight Show after the break. Stick around, everybody.
Yeah, no, that was good. Yeah, kind of short little video, to be honest, but I thought it was a good one to kind of just, like, delve into, the mind of Steve Bartlett. Somebody that sits down and probably talks to so many different interesting people, you would just think, like, wow, like, how does this guy even, how does he come about these conversations, and what's his thinking behind some of this stuff? And as you can see, he's extremely meticulous in these interviews and his preparation, but it's like sometimes also, like, it's okay to kind of just figure it out on the spot and just think on your feet and just kind of almost freestyle it, really. Sweeney said that it ended up being the most streamed interview that he actually had. and basically had no prep. So that's kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, we're all susceptible to mistakes and bloopers. So yeah, let's just have a quick read of the comments here. First time seeing this side of his face. I don't know what they mean. One of my favorite convos too. Congrats on all your success, Steven. Great to see you and your team shine, Dr. K. Steve is a phenomenal interviewer. He asks poignant questions, doesn't interrupt his guests, and never talks about himself. Facts, though. That's actually that's very accurate. I think those are probably the three key things that you probably need when you're going to be an interviewer. Is like ask ask the right questions. Don't interrupt, because a lot of the time people feel like, oh yeah, this is my show, so I want to lead the conversation this way and that way. So be open to having the convo maybe lead to somewhere you didn't necessarily plan to begin with, sorry. And yeah, like again, it might be your show, but people aren't, getting on your like little show or your podcast or whatever to kind of hear what you have to say. Although it is your show, but they want to hear what your guest has to say, so you just kind of have to lead that conversation. But yeah, look, I'm gonna wrap it up there. I thought that was a really good one, actually. I need to probably do a few more of Steve Bartlett's clips. I know he has tons of interviews, so I don't know if there's anything that comes to mind. You guys need to let me know for sure. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna wrap it up there, and we'll probably hit you guys with another vid sometime very soon. I'm out.
I gotta be rich before it's all over. I ain't tryna live life low risk. I ain't tryna get by. I gotta be rich before it's all over. Yeah, I don't wanna freeze my